Chakuriki. Martial arts fans, especially kickboxing enthusiasts, have likely heard this word at least once. However, aren't there quite a few people who don't actually understand what the term Chakuriki really refers to? This time, we will delve into the mystery based on documents we discovered at the National Diet Library. It is widely known that the founder of Kyokushin Karate, Mas Oyama, who dedicated his life to the martial way, was first inspired at the age of 9 by something called Chakuriki. At a harvest festival in a village in Manchuria, a drunken village wrestling champion, likely a Mongolian buck wrestler, behaved rudely during the celebration. Then a frail Korean elder suddenly struck him down with a technique so swift that it was almost invisible to the eye. The young Oyama, watching this, felt there was a mysterious power behind this martial art known as Chakuriki. According to Oyama, Chakuriki literally means borrowing power from something beyond oneself. It is said to consist of 3 systems of training: Shin, Yaku, and Ren. Shin Chakuriki, spiritual and breathing training, achieved by secluding oneself in the mountains and standing under waterfalls. Yaku Chakuriki, maintaining life through the use of medicinal herbs and nuts. Ren Chakuriki, conditioning the body by striking trees, leaping onto rocks, and breaking stones. All of these methods aim to train both body and spirit from the ground up, drawing out the hidden potential that lies within human beings. Its philosophy seems less like a martial art in the modern sense, and more akin to Japan's mountain ascetic traditions and Shugendo-style spiritual training. The world-famous Dutch gym Dojo Chakuriki, founded by Kyokushin disciple Tom Herink, was named after this very concept of Chakuriki. In this video, we will explore this martial art, Chakuriki, borrowed power, which can be seen as one of the roots of Mas Oyama's path to Kyokushin. It is said that many of Korea's traditional martial arts and cultural practices were lost during the period of Japanese rule. During the Joseon dynasty, martial arts were placed under strict government control. With the introduction of firearms, archery-based tactics became dominant, but after wars with Japan, swordsmanship and spear techniques were re-evaluated. In this era, the number of doshi, mountain ascetics devoted to spiritual and martial training, began to decline, and the practice of Chakuriki gradually faded as well. In the modern era, late 19th century to 1945, Japan's colonial assimilation policy prohibited most traditional cultural expressions. As part of efforts to instill the identity of imperial subjects of Japan, Japanese martial arts such as judo, kendo, and karate were introduced. Traditional Korean arts like archery and see-room, Korean wrestling, survived only as folk activities or school entertainment, and in some regions were completely banned. Arts such as taekyon and subak were forced underground by suppression from the Government General of Korea, and during the 35 years of Japanese rule, Korea's traditional martial heritage rapidly declined. To what extent the surviving traditional Korean martial arts preserve their original systems remains unclear based on available Japanese sources. It is presumed that Chakuriki, which had been passed down only in small circles, followed a similar path of decline. In 1969, the Chakuriki master Rikibosan came to Japan. He became an instant sensation after demonstrating the secret art of Korea on Japanese television for the first time. He performed a series of superhuman demonstrations, breaking a beer bottle tossed into the air with his fist, enduring a professional boxer's punch to the solar plexus without flinching, and smashing concrete blocks with his bare hands. He even once challenged Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, to hit him with his bare fists, a match that ultimately never took place but gained wide attention. According to Rikibosan, through the training of Chakuriki, one could gain a powerful body and immeasurable strength, without hardening the fists as in karate, or building bulky muscles like a bodybuilder. He claimed that when he pressed both ends of a seal between his thumb and index finger, the seal would instantly crack apart. Mas Oyama was known to bend a 10-yen coin between his thumb and forefinger as a party trick, and founder of the mainland Gojuryu Karate, Yamaguchi the Gogen's son, Yamaguchi Goshi, the current head of the Japan Karate Do Gojukai, was said to have witnessed it firsthand. According to Rikibosan, such feats were not simply a matter of physical strength, but the result of Chakuriki training. Let's take a look at the demonstration he performed in front of the camera. Rikibosan's ribs are being kicked by Igari, Genshu chairman and chief instructor of the Nihon Kenpo Association. He holds a 9th dan in Nippon Kenpo, has knocked out 3 reigning Muay Thai champions, and is the WKA kickboxing middleweight champion. He is also known for having served as a referee in K1. Next is a demonstration where he takes an arrow that can pierce through an oil drum directly to his stomach.
矢は石油缶の金属を3分の1貫いて止まる。普通の人間だったら背中を突き抜けるであろう。鉄人は矢を腹部に受けた瞬間、全精神を統一してそれを受ける。肉体の弾力をも巧みに利用しているのであろう。
Finally, he bends 2 sticks that have been thrust through a sheet of paper, without tearing the paper.
折れるか、紙が切れるかということですね。これは2本1辺ですか？いきますさん。はい。挑戦いたします。お願いします。息を飲むような。
Rikibosan also claimed that practitioners of Chakuriki sometimes encountered wild animals such as bears, wolves, leopards, and tigers during mountain training, and that therefore a martial art for self-defense against wild beasts had developed. However, since he never demonstrated Chakuriki as a martial art, it remains highly questionable whether these feats could be applied in actual combat. Nevertheless, each of them was beyond ordinary human ability, and it is true that they defy scientific explanation. In Chakuriki Kenpo, the art of borrowed power, the word shaku, kariru, borrow, carries 2 meanings. One is to help, and the other is to borrow. To help means to draw out the latent power that lies dormant within oneself, one's wisdom, courage, and willpower. At the time, it was often said that humans only use about 10% of their inherent potential. According to Rikibosan, to help means to expand that usage closer to 100%. To borrow, on the other hand, means to take in and temporarily make use of the energy of nature and the universe. Rikibosan taught that a subtle life energy called siso flows through the human nervous system, and by controlling it, one can achieve extraordinary reflexes and explosive power. Although somewhat different in tone, this concept is closely related to India's chakras, China's meridians, and Thailand's sen lines in traditional medicine. In Japanese martial arts, the Tanden, center of energy, said to have originated in Taoism, embodies a similar principle. Ancient practitioners secluded themselves deep in the mountains, seeking harmony with nature's ki, vital energy, through breathing techniques, meditation, and body movements. Their ultimate goal was to borrow the power of heaven and earth and harmonize it with one's own strength. This way of thought is closely related to Taoist immortal arts and Japan's Shugendo mountain asceticism. Indeed, as exemplified by China's Shaolin Temple, many Asian martial arts have deep ties to religion and spirituality. Sumo itself is a ritual dedicated to the gods, and many schools of swordsmanship trace their origins to Shinto traditions. Judging from demonstrations that have been passed down in Japan and from the surviving Chakuriki documents, Rikibosan's art appeared to contain strong spiritual elements, reminiscent of ancient Korean body training methods akin to the Qigong practices of Shaolin. So, what exactly was Chakuriki in its original Korean context? To find clues, I examined records compiled by the Government General of Korea. According to these materials, Chakuriki in Korean folk belief refers to the act of borrowing power from gods, spirits, medicine, or objects outside oneself in order to strengthen the body, ward off evil spirits, or cure illness. According to the Korean language encyclopedia, Shinchaku, divine borrowing, means receiving physical power from spirits. It refers to borrowing the strength of gods or medicine to enhance one's body and mind. Among the common people, it was believed that by obtaining borrowed power, one could drive away evil spirits and prevent disease. There were several forms of Chakuriki. Shin Chakuriki, borrowing from gods. Yaku Chakuriki, borrowing from medicine. Nin Chakuriki, borrowing from people. And Butsu Chakuriki, borrowing from objects. All of these are types of dependent faith, beliefs based on temporarily drawing power from beings other than oneself. Those who sought Shinjak would seclude themselves deep in the mountains for 100 days, purifying body and mind while praying to the gods. During this period, they would face tests in the form of thunder and earthquakes, wild beasts, fine liquor, or beautiful women, trials of temptation and fear. Only those who withstood them were said to receive divine power. Such individuals were called Tongyongja, spiritually connected persons, and were believed capable of freely commanding spiritual forces. The records suggest that Chakuriki was not limited to ascetics, but also widely believed among ordinary people. For example, in healing rituals, people might collect rice cakes from 10 households and eat them, smear dog's blood on the gate, or hang a padlock from a child's sash. Symbolic acts performed to borrow spiritual power and repel disease. These practices were based on animistic beliefs recognizing spiritual energy in all things in nature, and by borrowing a portion of that energy, one could strengthen oneself. In other words, Chakuriki represented the strengthening of body and mind through communion with the spiritual energy of nature. In conclusion, based on the available Japanese records and information, Chakuriki can be understood in a broad sense as a form of folk animism or magical belief, and in a narrower sense as an ascetic practice performed in the mountains to cultivate spiritual and physical resilience. In Rikibosan's writings, there are indeed some sections that introduce techniques as martial arts skills. However, to me, they seemed more like imitations of karate, taekwondo, or hapkido, rather than a traditional martial art. Upon researching Japanese sources, it does not appear that Chakuriki ever developed into a structured martial art or combat system. How is it passed down or understood in Korea today? If anyone is knowledgeable about this, please share your insights in the comments section. We also have several other videos introducing Japanese martial arts from a cultural perspective, so if you're interested, please check them out via the links in the description. Japan B is a channel that randomly shares information about lesser-known aspects of Japanese culture, spanning across various genres.